Welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast, your source for PSVR 2 game reviews. Just kidding. Neither of us has actually tried one yet. I'm probably waiting for the PS5 Pro because based on what I've heard, I want better performance. I don't want all those reprojection issues. What about you, Alex?
I'm not waiting for a PSVR Pro. PS5 Pro. Not PSVR Pro. But I can't afford... I haven't got a PS5. I can't afford one right now. So I want one, but I can't afford it.
Yeah, I don't have a PS5 either, obviously.
Yeah, I have contacted Sony, I mentioned to you before, to see if I can get hold of a PSVR 2 review unit for my channel. We'll see what happens there, but otherwise I'm going to have to wait a little bit. I do want one.
One thing that
Really
blew
want
my
one.
mind that I just remembered is that it came out in the news recently is that PSVR 2 has a pentile OLED. Did that blow your mind?
No, didn't really blow my mind. I'm just imagining you having your mind blown by
It blew
that
my
information.
effing mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if people don't know what that is, it's just the arrangement of the pixels on the screen. Everything, all the new headsets, LCD with, was it RGB stripe?
The RGB stripe.
Which apparently gives like a really good fill rate, so you get
3 subpixels per pixel, whereas pentile is 2 subpixels per pixel.
Yeah,
Which is why Vive and CV1 had worse screen door effect.
Yeah, plus they were lower resolution, but I mean, it's still was it 2K by 2K or whatever? So it's still a high resolution panel. It's not like it's a low resolution panel, so it should still be. It's probably going to be on par with an Index, which is obviously lower resolution, but because the fill rate's better on that, it'll be similar. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
but until I get my hands on one, I have no idea what it's going to be like.
Yeah, but we don't need PSVR 2s really because we have plenty of PC VR games to talk about. You know, Alex and I, we mostly play PC VR. I think, Alex, you have a Quest 2 again?
Quest 2.
Remember. Do you have a Quest 2 or does your brother
yeah,
have
I've got one. I gave it to my brother, and then my brother basically said I don't want it and gave it back. So
Okay.
I still have I still got a Quest 2, but I don't use it, really.
Yeah, so we mostly play PC VR, but we'll talk about some PSVR 2 stuff also sometimes.
Yep.
Hopefully. So, we'll get into the games we've been playing for the past month now. So, I think one of the biggest ones that came out or it hasn't come out yet. No, it comes out March 17th.
No.
Yeah, it comes out March 17th, but we got some early access keys to Half-Life 2 Episode 1, the VR mod.
Because we're influencers.
Exactly. And Alex is the virtual insider on YouTube. And
Virtually insider.
Yes, he is. And I'm main fan on YouTube. So I do like gameplay videos usually, and he does videos where he analyzes certain aspects of VR. Yeah. So I did a gameplay video that I already uploaded, and it's a full playthrough. And I kind of I definitely prefer Half-Life 2, the original VR mod.
Yeah.
More than this one. Episode 1, I just kind of got sick of it, especially toward the end where I had to escort those people back and forth. Oh my God. And you saw my video where I just kept dying and suffering and cursing.
Yeah, you were struggling.
Yeah, you did a lot better, right?
I've got to be honest, the way you play games sometimes I could not do it because you will just it took 4 hours, and you just play that in one go. You won't have a break. You'll just play and play until you finish the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even with the Half-Life, wasn't it Half-Life Alex where you basically played through the entire game?
No, I had to do 2 separate videos because I had to take care of my kid at one point. But I would have done a full, complete playthrough if I had time.
Yeah,
but I will stop to use the bathroom and.
Yeah, but I mean, I played 1-2 hours at a time with the game, and then I'll come back to it. Whereas you're just 8 hours straight, and then I just think that would ruin my enjoyment a bit, especially with this because the ending part. Yeah, that was
I'm
was
sure it's
tough.
not. I'm sure it's not healthy. What I'm doing to myself.
It's kind of like what reviewers do. And when someone's got to review a game within a deadline, a lot of times their enjoyment gets ruined because they've got to literally play a game all the way through within like a space of a few days. Yeah. Whereas a general public, people who play games for fun, generally will, just take the time, play it an hour, 2 hours a day or something, and just gradually play through it. And it definitely affects the enjoyment of games because if you can just take your time and when you get a little bit frustrated, just stop and then come back to it, it just refreshes yourself and you don't end up having to push through that frustration. Whereas you just kept going and going until you finished it.
Well, yeah, there's nothing else I want to do. It's like, okay, I could stop for a little bit and go eat, but then it's just like, all right, I just want to go back into the fucking game, even if I was getting really pissed off. What else am I gonna do? Take a walk? Go outside? Fuck no. I'm not doing that.
We'll play a different game, and you'd have to play the same game all the way through. You could stop playing that game and play something else for an hour.
I'm not that type of person. I kind of do one game at a time usually.
Yeah, you like to just work your way through, even if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
like my relationships. I'll stick with one woman, even if I can't stand her. I'll stick with her. And then I'm like, eventually I'm like, all right, we're done with this fucking relationship and I'll move on to the next woman. I'm not mixing the women up.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that mentally. I can only handle one at a fucking time. I don't know. That's
not many people mix up the women, but
yeah, and I have lots of friends that mix up their women.
Do they?
Yeah, a lot of my friends. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that, but no. It's not like
well, no one knows who they are.
Yeah, and their women aren't listening to this podcast anyway.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, I have lots of friends where they can't stick with one woman, and
we should probably talk about this game.
Yeah.
So, what did you actually think to it? You didn't enjoy it as much as Half-Life 2, which obviously I think everyone would.
Yeah. Okay. Again, this was another issue with Half-Life 2 is that I already played it, and beat it years and years ago.
So I did, but I forgot. I literally forgot this game. I could not remember virtually anything. So it was kind of like fresh for me anyway.
Me too, mostly. But a lot of times I would do something, then I would go, "Oh yeah, I remember doing that." Oh yeah.
There was those little sections. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just not as fun. Like you asked me, I think maybe in the last podcast, if I kind of like you were comparing Resident Evil 8 and Half-Life 2 VR mod and kind of asking me if I like the gameplay of Half-Life 2 more. And I was like, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because for me, Resident Evil 8 was brand new. So I was way more interested in that than I was in Half-Life 2. So that's
I mean, when you already know what's coming, it obviously ruins the enjoyment, definitely. Yeah. And obviously, I mean, I've played Half-Life 2 a couple of times. I only ever played Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and the second episode once, and that was, 12, 15 years ago. So to remember every single detail is just impossible. And I forgot a lot of this stuff. I did remember certain things, like there's sections where you've got to... These ant lines that come out of these holes, and you've got to kind of plug the holes with cars by using the portal gun to push the cars into the holes and stuff. I mean, the game... I think it's a really good mod. Like, the mod itself... Because I played Half-Life 2 VR mod early, and it wasn't as polished as this. They've really polished a lot of stuff up. Like all the guns now have two hands, and you've actually got hands that you're holding them. You can climb the ladders, and it'll actually show you where you're going to teleport at the top. And
there are no ladder issues now.
It's really polished, really well done. One thing I don't like is the portal gun. I find it's okay, but I think because there's no weight, the way that you move it around, you can really just whip it around and just pick things up and fire them with, and it just don't feel as satisfying as I think it could. But that's nothing to do with the mod. That's just obviously the limitations of probably what they can do with it. But it feels like if it was like a weighted thing where you've got to use two hands on it and kind of move it around, and like Saints and Sinners where it's like it's lagging a little bit and it feels heavy. I feel like that would have been more fun to use.
You say portal gun, but you mean gravity gun.
Oh, shit. You're right. Yeah. Bollocks.
I wish we had a portal gun.
Yeah. Well, Portal should be coming in the mod as well. But, and there is a lot of Portal Oh, fuck's sake. Not Portal. Gravity gun stuff in this game. Like, the first part, mostly you're using the gravity gun. You don't even get a gun for probably a good hour or so. So
And
it
it's
just...
overpowered also.
Yeah.
Like in that first section, you're just like, all right, you're just destroying those dudes. You know.
I remember there's actually an achievement where you got to go through the entire game with just the portal gun, gravity gun,
Yeah.
but you only fire one bullet because there's a lock on the door, and if you fire it, you've got to shoot that lock off. But everything else you can go through. And I think I got that achievement. I can't remember.
Really?
So maybe I did play through it twice. Yeah, I think I was one of those people that went back and did the whole thing with.
You mean back a long time ago?
Yeah. Not this time around. No, as soon as I got the guns, I was like, yeah, I'm using the guns because they're more fun.
Yeah.
And once you get out of the underground section and you're in the main city, that's where I enjoyed it the most, where you've got like Combine coming for you. And there was some really cool set pieces and moments which I won't spoil. But overall, it's fun. It's not as good as the main game, but I think everyone probably would agree with that. And that section you mentioned just felt like a complete piss take. Even... Because basically what happens is you go to this section where you've got to escort these people to the train station, and you go across and they say we're going to go in groups. So you go across. Alex is with you. She's with you with most of the game, which is also quite cool, having like a companion as well.
I feel the opposite.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I want to be alone.
Yeah, I liked having her as you know. It's like sometimes she's covering you with a sniper rifle and stuff, and you know, sometimes you haven't got a gun, and so she's shooting things for you, but you have to put your headlight, you have to shine your light on them so she can see them. There's just some cool little stuff like that. But this section with the train station, you actually go across, you've got two civilians with you, you've got Alex, and you go to the other side, and Alex says to you about, oh, that was easy, we should have brought everyone with you. And I thought, yeah, that was easy. Why don't we bring everyone with us? But then you have to go back and you get two more people. And then you have to go back and you get two more people. And then you have to go back and then you get two more people, and an APC arrives that fires rockets every literally second, and it's virtually impossible to avoid the rockets. And then you do it again. So you do it like 5 or 6 times, and it was really irritating. And the APC section, which is what you got stuck on, was really difficult because you literally stick your head out and the rocket will be coming straight for you.
Yeah, and you couldn't really hide from it out in the...
Yeah, and you have a rocket launch, and you've got rockets you can go and get to refill it, but the rocket launch is guided, so you can't like just pop out, fire a shot. You've got to pop out, make sure you stay with the laser. Unless there's a way of turning that off. Is there an alt fire or something? I never thought about that actually, but yeah, you see, you've kind of got to stay out long enough for the rocket to hit, then you can pop back in.
And sometimes you pop out so fast that you try to shoot a rocket, and the rocket will end up hitting invisible geometry and kill you.
Yeah, I saw that. That was bad.
God.
Yeah, you struggle more than me though. I think it took me like 4 attempts, whereas I think it took you like
14. I don't know.
Yeah, you died a lot, and it was funny. I enjoyed watching that.
Well, there's another video. My next video that's uploading, you'll get to see more of that. The
game we're going to talk about next anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it is. Yeah. That is the next game.
It is. Yeah, so just wrap up. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 VR mod comes out on March the 17th. It's completely free as long as you own the actual main game. And the main game is really cheap now as well. So if you've not played Half-Life 2, you definitely want to play that first. And the VR mod for that is excellent. So if you've not played Half-Life 2 VR mod, play that. Then play Half-Life 2 Episode 1. And I think they're also going to be releasing, well, I know they are, Episode 2, which is the like conclusion to the story. So,
and from what I remember, Episode 2 is more out in the open.
I really enjoyed Episode 2, actually. You kind of open world in like a forest environment. You get to drive a buggy around.
I really don't like all the dark basement shit. You know,
it gets old after a while.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the next game then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next game is District Steel, and this came out in early access sometime last month. I can't remember the exact date, and it's really fun. I really like it. What do you think?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. We got free keys from the developers, so thank you to them.
We're very lucky.
Studio.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's going to be my next video that I uploaded. So if you want to see me get decimated, you can see that. Like the game, I don't know, you're a cyborg, like you're half
Are
human,
you?
half
Yeah,
robot,
you've got
maybe.
like a robot arm.
Yeah,
So your
robot
left
arm.
arm is like a robot bionic arm,
Mm-hmm.
and your right hand is just a normal hand.
Yeah, and you
But
have
you
a
can use
shotgun
the
and a
yeah.
SMG and a pistol, and is there any other weapon?
No, there's three weapons. Uh, the game has like I would describe it as like an industrial, futuristic look to it. So it's kind of it looks futuristic, but it's got this kind of industrial. Everything feels like it's in like an industrial unit or something or some sort of
Mm-hmm.
complex. And there's lots of it's called District Steel, and there's lots of steel literally in the game, like lots of metal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All the environments are very boxy. It's kind of like an old retro style level design where everything's boxed, kind of straight corridors, no curves or anything anywhere. So if you like retro style shooters, it's really cool. The way I think visually it's really good. I was
Yeah,
actually surprised how good it is. The lighting's really nice in this game, really well done. The way that they've done the way that the reflections are done on all the different materials, and they've got sort of ambient lights and different colours and things. It's kind of how remember when we talked about lawn? It's kind of how that should have looked in that kind of. They never really got the
yeah.
lighting right in that game. It was too flat. Whereas in District Steel, the light just feels real, and the way that they've lit the world feels really good. It's really well
I
done.
did think about Lawn while I played it. Yeah, and thought, yeah, this is definitely better.
Oh, it's miles better. It's one of the best
Yeah,
games I've played for a while, actually. Really
yeah.
good. And you've got like your left arm also has a rocket on it, which you can by default. I don't know if you changed this, but by default it defaults to head, so it's where you look. But you
Mm-hmm.
can change it to your
Arm
arm,
orientation.
which is what
Yeah,
I did because I found that much. You
yeah,
can literally look at like you can look. You can put your arm out to the left and then boost left whilst you're firing forwards and stuff. So it
yeah,
makes it more dynamic. Whereas otherwise, you've got to literally like crane your neck to look up or look to
yeah.
the
I
left.
did
And
that initially, and it was too uncomfortable to keep doing that.
yeah, I don't. That shouldn't be the default. I think the
Yeah.
rocket arm, where that direction's pointing. I also don't like. It's done where you press a button on the top of your controller to do the boost.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be better if it was a trigger because then you don't have to take your finger off the thumbstick because you'd have to kind
Mm-hmm.
of.
Well, here's what I did. I switched the boost button to my right controller.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So then I'm pointing my left arm in the direction I want to go, and I press my B button on my right controller to rocket jump.
Yeah, that's the better way to do it because
Yeah.
you have to basically stop moving with your thumbstick to then do the boost. So there's like
Yeah,
a
and that
slight
doesn't make
delay.
sense.
Yeah, don't feel as smooth. Whereas if you could keep moving and boost, so you kind of have like continuous movement, it would feel a lot nicer.
I don't remember if the left trigger had to be used for reloading or anything.
Yeah, that's the only other thing, but they could do it on the grip maybe. Like
Hmm.
you say, probably doing it on the other controller probably would work better.
It's
And you
kind
can
of hard with
rebind
your.
that.
It is a little bit at first. It was a little tough for my brain to, can use my left arm to point where I'm going and press my right.
Yeah,
It's a little bit tricky, but I got used to it.
yeah, you do get used to it. Like towards the end, I was just literally just boosting without even thinking about it. And you can boost straight, so you can like boost on the floor. You can crouch and boost through like ventilation shafts. You can point your hand up in the air and boost up. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a temporary boost. It's not you can't fly for infinitely. You just
Hmm.
boost for a few seconds and then it recharges and then you
And
can
this
boost
boost
again.
is your only way to jump. There's no jump button,
No,
so it kind
sometimes
of
that was
makes
a
it
bit
tough
yeah.
to
Because there was
land
sometimes little
to land
platforms where,
accurately. Yeah.
but it was fun though. It
Yeah.
really was fun.
I said to the developer, I think they should, because when you boost, you can't, as far as I could tell, you can't control yourself at all in midair. I think you should be able to control yourself a little bit. Like a Mario
Mm,
game, if you jump, you can control yourself in midair.
yeah,
That's what I mean. I don't mean like move myself like a lot, but just give me like a little bit so that I
a little
can.
bit of yeah. So it's not as fast as maybe just moving around, but just a little bit of control maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
see
because
what
I
you're
would
saying.
overshoot a lot of stuff, or you know.
Yeah, sometimes you would try and jump on something and you wouldn't do what you wanted to do. But it was really satisfying, like boosting up onto a ledge or something. And there's got these panes of glass which you can shoot through and throw enemies through them as well, which look really cool in VR.
Oh yeah, and then the slow-mo button is a big thing.
Did you use that? Because I've got this feeling. You said you never. Oh, did you?
Actually, anytime I got into a room where there were a lot of enemies, I was like, all right, slow-mo time.
Yeah. Because you've said before that you don't like slow motion.
I don't like it, but in this game I liked it because you don't... Any game where you have to use it like all the time, that's fucking annoying as hell to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't like slow games.
Yeah.
But I only used it when I really needed to. Like when fighting a room full of enemies or fighting those Ed 209 type bosses, dudes, I was like, oh shit, slow-mo time. And then the final boss, obviously, you have to use slow-mo or you're not
Yeah, it's very difficult. You would struggle to get through that without it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the slow-mo's I thought the slow-mo was really well done because we've had a few games with slow motion in them, like Boneworks and Blade and Sorcery, but it's just like a tacked-on thing where you can just infinitely slow things down.
Yeah.
Whereas this has been integrated into the gameplay, so it's not infinite. You have like a bar on your... Oh, that's another thing. When you jump into the game, there's like it's on your HUD, it's on your face, and it was like immediately I was like, okay, I don't want that.
Yeah, definitely change that. Yeah.
And you can put it on your arm, so you just look at your arm and you've got all your information on there. But you have like a meter, and your meter goes up if you kill enemies or if you like collect energy cells. Yeah. But I never actually used the energy cells because it just, whenever you kill enemies, it just boosted it enough anyway. Generally, I found towards the end, especially when I was getting good at it, I could string along and keep in slow motion quite a lot. So it was, but yeah, you can kind of like boost up into the air, go into slow motion, or go. Sometimes, like if I know there's some enemies around a corner, I'd boost sideways, hit slow motion, and then as you slide in, past with the enemies in front of you, you take them out, and then you stop slow motion, and then they all kind of like just fall to the floor. Really cool. Looks amazing in VR.
Yeah, and it changes the graphics when you do slow-mo to this like slightly cel-shaded look, which actually looks really cool.
Yeah, the way they've done the effects is really well done. Like the slow-mo, they kind of make things look a little bit different, so and if you watch the gun as well when you're firing, you can see the bullets slowly kind of just, the shells kind of come out of the top of the gun and things. Slow-mo's always look cool in VR, but I think because they've done it in such a stylistic way, it makes it even more cool in this game in particular.
Yeah, it's the coolest slow-mo I've ever seen in VR for sure.
Yeah, and you just want to use it even if like sometimes you do need it because it can be quite difficult at times. But sometimes I just use it because it just felt really cool to use.
There's some enemies that shoot really fast, so those are good ones to use, like those like sentry guns.
Yeah, because I still died a few times in this game as well. It's not easy.
Yeah. Did you beat it?
Yeah, I finished the boss.
But how many attempts did it take?
7? Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, well that makes me feel a little better. I mean, it took me more, but at least it only take you like 3.
It was tough though. Towards the end, I don't know if you should spoil what the boss is, but yeah, I just kind of made it on my 7th attempt.
The problem for me was those fucking rockets were like I couldn't dodge them. They kept killing me even when I was hiding.
Yeah, you've got these like pillars which you can hide behind, and I hid behind them. The first 2 stages, because there's 3 stages to the boss. The first 2 stages were easy. I'd always get through them. It was just that final stage. You just get like this barrage of rockets coming at you, and it was really hard to avoid them. Which is why I literally just made it. I had like a sliver of health on that last attempt. So. Okay. Satisfying though.
Yeah, I felt like the game was like really easy in the beginning, and then the difficulty ramped up crazy hard at the end.
Yeah, I think like midway through it starts to get harder. It feels like the first part is probably where obviously the early stuff that he made, and then it really started to get in the hang of the level design and the setting up, the robots and stuff that you're fighting. Yeah, it felt really creative. Like the levels, even though they kind of looked a bit samey, there was always enough there just to keep me interested. Like sometimes you're outside in the night, sometimes you're outside in the day, sometimes you're inside in smaller areas, sometimes you're in these really large areas. It was really, really well done. The level design is excellent in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the ammo was... One thing I did want to ask you actually is because you said before you get 3 guns. You've got your pistol, you've got your submachine gun, and you've got a shotgun. I didn't know that the submachine gun was behind my back.
Oh,
So I
really?
played through like half of the game just in the pistol, and I was constantly running out of ammo, and I kept finding ammo for the
The SMG uses the light
yeah.
ammo.
I was getting loads of
It's
ammo for this
counterintuitive,
thing.
isn't it?
Did it ever tell you where, or did you just figure it out?
I
Did it tell
can't.
you where the gun was?
I feel like in the very beginning of the game, it told me about the SMG. Like, oh, and there's like the training part, the training mission. Did you not do the training mission?
Yeah, but I used the pistol. I don't. Maybe I just didn't pay attention. I don't know. But
Mm.
another
You
thing
know.
as well is there's one section where
Hmm.
you had to plant some charges on a. You have to plant some charges on some sort of energy cell or some energy thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know where the charges were, and I didn't realize. And again, probably my fault for not paying attention. That there was an inventory slot underneath the robot arm. Did you
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah, the yellow one. There's
Yeah.
a yellow little slot, and then there's two green ones, and I would put my grenades in the green ones.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out till about halfway through. So that's my fault. That's fine.
That might have been in the training thing. I can't remember.
I probably
May-
would just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, we both like this game.
Yeah, it's how much is it? It's $24.
$24.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, $24.99. But we're giving away a free Steam key for this game. So to get that, you need to leave a YouTube comment, and it's VR Gaming Podcast on YouTube. You can find it easily. And if you leave a comment saying the name of the game, the opening music that I added. In post, I'm going to add music to this at the very beginning of the podcast. You name that game, you get the key. And I'll probably keep adding. It's a VR game. I'll give you a hint. It's a flat to VR mod game. And I'll keep putting different, VR game music in the beginning of the podcast. Maybe I'll keep doing this same type of giveaway thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
What were we going to say?
How long did it take you to finish this game?
4 hours.
Yeah, same. So it's still early access, but I will say it feels very polished. It's not. I don't feel like a game that's not finished, but it's not finished. There is basically you finish the game and it says to be continued. So there's more to come in the game.
Yeah.
Some people might want to wait for the full release, but if you're looking for something to play on PC and you're struggling, like we've been struggling to find stuff to play. I absolutely loved playing this game. Really good fun.
Yeah, it's 6 levels, and it does say to be continued. It's only 2 guys making it.
Yeah, it took them like 4 years, and it's really, really good. There's a few things like when you grab a magazine, it kind of floats in front of you, at the top of your hand.
Yeah, that's one issue. I pointed that out to them, but I'm sure they're like, yeah.
And the robot hand feels too big. Personally, I think.
Oh, that didn't bother me.
I feel like the right hand's too small and the left hand's too big. I feel like if they tweak the right hand up a little bit, it felt like a really small hand, and then they tweak the left one down a touch. Because when you're picking things up with this massive hand, it can be a bit awkward. Like if you're trying to rack a slide on the pistol, you've got this massive robot hand. It just felt a bit awkward sometimes. But.
Okay. And there's also a map where you can
scale
I used
it.
You can scale it, like zoom it in and out. I didn't use it often, but it's still cool.
Yeah, I used that. It shows you little secrets as well.
Oh, okay.
Little secret stashes, which I use sometimes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the
anyway,
next game?
Yeah.
I saw you didn't put this on your list. I wasn't sure.
How much did you play?
Let me see. I could tell you in a second. Steam says, an hour. I played an hour.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it, but I didn't put it on because they're doing a patch which is going to fix some of my complaints. And I felt like I didn't put enough time into it to really... I mean, I'll talk about what I've played and what I think about if you've played a bit of it, but
yeah. All right,
I do want to I'll talk about it next month as well, once I've played more time.
The game we're talking about is the Light Brigade. This just came out. It's on Quest, it's on Steam, it's on PSVR 2. So it's a roguelike shooter where the weapons are World War II era weapons, and I don't know. I don't really understand what the story is. Really, you're
going through these areas, and apparently you kind of you're bringing light to the world or something. You're trying to bring light back into the world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you have to pray by putting your hands together to like shrines, and you do it quite a lot actually. You can do it as well to like scan the environment for loot and stuff. So if you've killed all the enemies before you move on to the next area, if you pull your hands together, you do a little prayer, and then it kind of scans the area and shows you all your loot that you've got left in the area if you want to make sure you get everything.
Yeah, my first impression initially was bad because it starts at 70% resolution scale. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you do that?
It looked really low resolution.
Yeah, it looked terrible.
And it defaults to low settings as well.
Yeah, I hate it when games default to low. They're just in case people have shitty computers. Is that why they do?
Because
that?
even it's a quest. It's built around the quest. Let's not beat about on the bush.
You know that because when you're looking at your controller models in the game, it'll show a quest controller. There's no index.
It's just
model.
it's a very easy game to run, so you don't need to worry about it. Just put it up to 100%.
I put it up to 120 or higher maybe.
I think I put 120, but it don't really make a difference visually, I didn't think.
But once I did that, it looked good.
Yeah. So the developers should, if they listen to this, they definitely should default it to 100%.
Yeah. And,
because it looks bad otherwise.
And walking around the first training area or whatever, and walking around there, and then the area where the NPCs are, that your friendly NPCs, that all looked good. But once one thing about them, you can walk through the NPCs. You can, I think they should at least collide with you, so you can't walk through them all.
I never tried it.
Once you get to the actual levels, they look so hazy and muted. It's not colorful at all, and that completely turns me off. Like, I like games like Compound, where it's bright and colorful, and I can't play these games where it's just like muted as hell. It's just not. It just turns me off immediately. Then, when you have your gun up, even if you're holding your gun, I'm sure that I think somebody said they're gonna fix this. You move so slowly.
About, yeah.
So they're gonna change it to where when you put your gun down, you can move like Pavlov. You can move faster, right?
Yeah, because right now your movement's really slow anyway, which is frustrating. Like, the first thing I did is look to see if there was a way to improve the movement speed. It feels like you need a sprint button or something. Mm-hmm. Basically, the game feels like it's been built around teleport. You really kind of have to teleport. You literally can't get through the levels without teleporting, because there's sections, there's like gaps where you haven't got a jump button or anything. You've got to literally teleport across these gaps. But the movement is really slow, and when you two-hand a weapon, so because most of the guns are two-handed, like rifles and things, when you hold the gun with both hands, your movement goes to like virtually zero. You can barely move. So then you end up kind of walking around holding the gun one hand. You can't fire it one hand because it's got like a lot of kick, and it has a lot of weight to it, which I actually do like the feel of. But I want to be able to hold the gun two hands and then be ready to shoot and just move normally. I don't understand why they've got this thing where you're really slow moving when you're aiming. I don't really get that.
Even when you're not aiming, even if you just have the gun pointed down at the ground, you're slow moving, as long as you're holding it with both hands. Yeah,
so what you end up doing is you end up kind of like letting go of the front grip, and then you kind of like keep your hand near it, and then you have to. It just feels really annoying. I don't really understand that decision. And I saw on Steam there's a few people complained about it, and apparently they're gonna do it like Pavlov, where you point the gun down towards the floor, but you can have both hands holding it, and then you'll move at the normal speed, and then as soon as you pull your arms up to aim forward, then it'll slow you down. But even then, I don't understand why we can't just move at normal speed. But maybe because you can teleport instantly, and you can teleport as much as you want. There's no cooldown or anything, so you can zip around with a teleport really quick. But yet, free locomotion is like really gimped to the point where it feels handicapped. If you don't want to teleport, you're handicapping yourself, basically.
Yeah, and I don't want to teleport.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel.
And I don't like that. Yeah, there's so many places in the game where you have to teleport.
That's what I mean. It's definitely been built with teleport, and then the smooth locomotion's kind of like an afterthought. Maybe like we need to put that in.
And this game, speaking of a game built around teleport, this game reminds me so much of In Death, which originally I think was teleport only, and then they later added free locomotion. But I could never get into In Death. Could you?
No, me neither. I don't like roguelites anyway. I will say that this one I do like. Yeah. And I do want to play more of it, but I just wish there was a bit more. Especially when we've been playing District Steel, where you're literally rocket boosting around all over the place.
Yeah.
To go from that to play, this game where the Light Brigade, where you literally walk. The walk speed. I want to be able to sprint for one. I'd love to be able to move faster.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like a jump button so that I can actually jump over these gaps rather than using teleport.
Yeah.
Even if it's just have it all off by default, but give an option like an advanced option or something where you can move and jump, so you don't have to teleport at all if you don't want to. That would really elevate this game way beyond what it is right now for me personally.
And when I was playing, I was surprised to see that Nick Lane, the guy that originally started this podcast, he had 2.7 hours in this game. I was really surprised because I thought he was mostly just playing pinball. I didn't think he was even playing much VR anymore.
I think if there's a game, I think if Nick finds something he likes, he gets on it.
Yeah, so
like
he
with
must
Population
like it.
1 and stuff. Yeah.
So his channel that he focuses on now is Buffalo Pinball, by the way, and that's a featured channel on our YouTube channel, so you could see the link there. His last video, he did a cool video of his basement game room, which is just tons of pinball machines, and he has some arcade games too. So check that out.
Shout out, Nick.
Yeah. Anything else about this?
No, that's what I said. I want to wait to see what they do with the patch. Maybe if they listen to this, hopefully they can. The thing is, the reviews are really positive. Everything I've seen, everyone really likes this game. So I feel like maybe we're kind of outliers where we.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I don't like it. I actually really like the game. It's just I wish there was more freedom of movement. I just don't like the restrictive movement.
It's not bad, but I'm picky about the visuals. I don't usually a game doesn't have to have amazing graphics, but for me, it can't be really bland to look at, and that's just
I like the visuals, and I'd like to see more to see if it does add variety to the enemies.
Did you say you like the visuals or don't?
Yeah,
you do like.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a dark, gritty, more realistic look to it, and then they've got. Yeah, I want to see more. It's like a game where I do want to see more because I'd like to see what else they've put in there. But right now I'm waiting for some sort of patch to improve the movement.
There's so many in this game. I can't even see a lot of I can't even see what I'm looking at. A lot of times it's so it's just
foggy.
so foggy and. But you love fog. We already talked.
I
about
like
that
fog.
before.
Yeah, I like that. I like that atmospheric sort of volumetric lighting and fog, and you don't like that.
Nah, I just want to see everything.
You want it to be just bland and empty. Anyway, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah.
Do you want to do yours, or shall I move on to my which?
Well, yours is the game that I played more of, unless you kept playing it.
Oh, in fact, let me talk about Zero Caliber because I don't think you've played that one.
No, I haven't played that.
Yeah, that's it. It's a game I played a while ago. It's a military shooter. It's a single player and co-op, and they did a big update, so I decided to go back in with a couple of friends. And yeah, it's not like the best VR shooter ever made, but we don't have a massive amount of these kind of games that you can play single player or co-op, and they've got a story and a single, a campaign where you go through levels and you have set piece moments and stuff, fighting against AI human enemies, and this is one of those rare ones we've got, and it's not bad. I actually do enjoy it. It's a bit goofy, and it's not obviously AAA quality. The gun handling's solid. The level designs are decent and look okay. Yeah, I just think if you're looking for a VR shooter, like a more realistic kind of military shooter, then this is one of the best ones that there is out there, really. But you've not played it.
I own it, and I still haven't played it. I forget I own it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll play some with you at some point if you want us to try it.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like it.
All right.
Not much more to say on it, really.
Oh, the next game, I was looking at a different one before. So,
right.
Hitman 3. So, what is it? IOI Interactive, is that the company that made it?
Yeah.
They were nice enough to give me a free key to World of Assassination, which is it's $69.99 now. So they changed the name of, I guess, what is it? Hitman 1, 2, and 3 all are in one now and called World of Assassination.
Yeah, we did talk about it last week, but
Yeah.
they've combined all 3 games into one.
They wanted me, there's a new DLC called Freelancer, and I was like, all right, I'll play it in VR. And then I go into the game, and then it tells me Freelancer doesn't have a VR mode. And I was like, shit. So, but they said I could play Hitman, the Hitman 3 instead. So I've played it a little bit, and yeah, initially I was like, this is blurry. But like I've heard from, I think, you and other people, put the super sampling up to like 500%, and then it looked good. Mm-hmm. There's no other game, I think, where you could do that and have the game actually run.
Yeah.
But this game, for some reason, you put it to 500% and the game still runs fine. But
Well, it's so blurry at normal. Like if I run at 200% super sampling in Steam.
Yeah.
And if you run that in this game, it looks really blurry. So it has to be running at a low resolution. It's not running at normal resolution that every other game's running. It can't be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is it? It's running at PSVR1 resolution, but even
Something
still,
like that.
If you did that times 500%, you would think that's too much for even a badass PC to run. So I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, but all I know, it works. So
yeah. So what I did, I went to the training and stuff and went through some levels. I was actually kind of impressed compared to what I've heard. I've heard so much negativity about it. So maybe they've done some stuff to improve it.
No.
They haven't done anything to improve it?
No.
Well, I already went into it knowing the limitations and knowing that,
Yeah, your expectations were...
Yeah, they were low.
It was.
Yeah.
You were expecting it to be a janky mess. That's not good, so...
Yeah.
It's not bad. I mean, it's just... Did you notice, like, the hands were, like, wobbly and
I didn't notice wobbly hands, but when I would try to kill people, a lot of times it just wouldn't work. Or I'd use the wire and it would just like go through them, and I'm like, why isn't this working? And I would get caught when I don't know why I'm getting caught. But what I was impressed by, I guess, was the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay and everything isn't great.
Yeah.
But I could see myself still wanting to play it and, being interested enough to go through these levels.
Yeah.
To see what
That's
happens.
how I feel. The game's great until you stop actually having to do anything, basically. Like if you just walk around the environments and listen to the conversations and try and be sneaky and all the rest of it, it's fine.
Yeah.
As soon as you actually have to do anything, the game just falls apart. And, like you said, you try and grab someone, or you try and put the wire around the neck, and everything just doesn't work. So that's the problem with the game. The game itself is good. It's the VR implementation is just really not great, and it just makes playing the game not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so because they gave me that key, I'm going to do a video. I don't know when I'm going to get around to doing it, but yeah, I'm going to make a video, and hopefully some funny shenanigans will happen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of YouTubers have made videos on this game because of just how ridiculous stuff can go wrong. You try and grab hold of someone and knock them out, and then they end up going flying, or they'll just they'll not work, and then they'll just you won't make connection, and then everyone kind of starts looking at you, and shit can just go wrong in this game really quickly.
Yeah.
And you end up, and then when you're running as well, like, because the direction of where you're running is not where you're looking, and it's really weird.
You're stuck when I run. I'm stuck on that line.
Yeah.
Unless I use like the analog stick.
I think it works on your hand, so you basically wherever your hand is, but it's not. But the hand. Oh no, I think it's your body, but your body. It's a really weird system. I've never seen it in any other VR game.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you walk, it's fine. But as soon as you start running, you can't control where you want to run anymore. It's weird.
Is this a game where you can stand and physically turn as long as you stay in one spot, or is this a game where you pretty much have to stay seated?
You can turn, but your body will kind of become misaligned because there's no room scale. So then you have to reset the headset, which is just a button press, but it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah. All right.
Did you try the two-handed weapons?
Yeah. Just in the training.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. I don't really remember what my thoughts were on it. I'm trying to remember.
If you actually tried to use them in an actual game, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" But,
Yeah, because I was just aiming at little targets or whatever. So yeah, I don't think I got to see how terrible they were.
But I recommend. I mean, I've played through all Hitman 1, and I'm working my way through 2. It's just for some reason as the game, well, kind of makes sense. But as you get through the game, it becomes more intensive when you see in your computer. So then it just becomes more and more blurry as that dynamic resolution kind of brings the resolution down. So it's gone from like the first few levels looking great, nice and crisp and clear, to it looking a bit blurry and not as great as it or as interesting.
Oh yeah, the thing that was bothering me the most was I was seeing dynamic brightness. So like
Yeah, I don't know what that was actually.
Did you ever see that or?
What you mean, like where it was changing brightness as you look at different things?
Yeah, like it's like light and then dark and then light and then dark and yeah.
I didn't have that.
You didn't have that? Okay.
No.
I don't know.
I don't know what that was. Going on. Make sure HDR's turned off in the game or something. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
Have a look.
So you doing the next one?
Yeah, we'll talk about the utility room because we've both played that. Mm-hmm. This was the developer actually contacted me and very kindly gave me a couple of keys to play, and this is something I had my eye on because it looked quite interesting. It's kind of how would you describe this? It's kind of like an experience more than a game.
It's a walking simulator.
Well, it's a jumping simulator.
And there's a lot of jumping. Yeah, it's not.
It's not really a game. It's an experience. I would describe it.
Yeah.
All you do in the game is you walk through these environments. Artsy. Yeah, it's very artsy, very surreal. This kind of weird music plays sometimes. You're going through these weird-looking environments. Sometimes the environments have these massive, like, structures that move around. And
a lot of them look like Easter Island heads.
Yeah. And as someone who... There's something called megalophobia. Is that megalophobia?
I want to hear about this, yeah.
This is where you've got a fear of very large objects or like large open spaces. Something that I didn't realize I had until I started in VR. And there were certain games that triggered this feeling where if there's something really big that's like massive and it's over... It just feels like it makes me feel like this feeling of dread, like I'm gonna die because this thing's gonna crush me or something. So I was expecting to get that a lot in this game because of all the stuff I'd seen in the trailer. And there was one section where one of those large heads, because it is absolutely massive. It's like the size of, I don't know, several houses all in one. It came really close to me and it made me feel, a bit uneasy. Mm-hmm. But I haven't really got to a point where it's just made me feel that bad where I've had to like say, I can't play. But if you struggle with that yourself, you might struggle a little bit with this game. But it's definitely, I don't know. What did you think of it? You played through it all. I only played like 30 minutes.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever played in my life. But I wanted to keep going because I wanted to see what weird shit is going to happen next.
Yeah.
And did I enjoy it? I mean, sort of.
Did you figure out the jump thing? Because there's a thing where you can jump, but then you can do like a long jump.
Yeah, you have to hold. Yeah, that's really weird. That's a good thing to point out. There's a jump button, but then there's also this thing where you have to hold your grips on both your controllers. And if you've ever played like Climby, it's sort of like that. In Climby, you had to, I think, maybe hold grips and then swing your arms to jump.
Yeah, and the longer you hold them, the further you jump.
Yeah, so like and then the controllers vibrate to let you like know that it's been like primed. And
I didn't really figure that out for a while because the controls said something about triggers originally or something. But
yeah, there was something
so I was struggling
about that.
Yeah, I was struggling to get over these longer jumps, and I was using the jump button, and I was taking like 5-6 attempts just to get over these larger jumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the instructions said you use the trigger when it was really grip.
Yeah, that's what threw me. And like because I was like I was kind of doing the triggers and then pressing the jump button and swinging my arms, and I don't know, it just wasn't working. And then I realized, you've got to squeeze with the index controllers. You just have to squeeze the controllers together at the same time.
Yeah,
you don't have to press the jump button.
And so a lot of this game, you're just going through caves. So I was like, am I playing The Forest again, but like a much worse looking version?
Yeah.
You're just going through caves, and you just keep going and keep going, and there are loading screens in between.
Oh
Which
my
were
God,
annoying
yeah.
as hell. They need to
You'd
somehow,
walk like a minute or something, and then there's a loading screen,
need to
and all you've
somehow,
done is
yeah.
walk.
They
Yeah,
need to get rid of that loading shit.
yeah,
It's just a
that was
black
bad.
screen with white text, which you don't ever want in VR. Actually, it just says loading,
Yeah,
and you can move around in the loading screen, and then it loads the next one, and then it's like, all right, now I'm looking at another fucking colorless cave. And you just keep going, jumping through, and then like you'll come across something fucking weird. You know, maybe it's a room full of spheres, maybe it's a room full of cubes. You know, some of them are like massive rooms full of maybe cubes, and or rocks, and some of the rocks are sliding along, so they can knock you off your path and kill you.
that's where I got to.
Okay, and then you'll get instantly respawned. I think in that part, yeah, there was like, it did take me a little while. Like, where the fuck am I supposed to go? But there's a giant rock.
I found out where you've got to go, and that.
Yeah, those giant rocks.
Should we say where you've got to go?
Yeah, there were just some giant rocks that were moving along, and you have to just jump on top of them.
Yeah.
And then ride them. But yeah, that wouldn't be obvious, I think. I was just like, maybe that's what I have to do, but I wasn't very confident that that's what I needed to do. I was like, maybe I'll die. I don't know.
Mm.
So you just keep going, and you just keep coming across more weird shit. There are things to collect. Like there are, I don't know if it was 6 or 8 different little heads to find. I think I only found 2 out of the maybe 8.
You put some pictures on the Discord.
Yeah. So at the very end of the game,
weird.
It gets very fucking weird. I mean, and you never get explained what's going on at any point. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're meeting God. Maybe that's who that fucking creature is. I don't know. It's just very strange, surreal, artsy thing. It's $12.99 on Steam. I would say no way. It's not. So I'm sorry. It's not worth $12.99.
It took you about an hour.
Yeah, it took an hour. So they're gonna get a lot of refunds. People are gonna do an hour and then refund it.
Reviews are actually positive from what I looked at.
Yeah. I don't know if they're getting their friends or people that worked on it.
I don't know. It's weird because I said that, you know, I've played half an hour. I got to that section where you're in like this maze where you're on these, you're up on like really high on these platforms that weave and go in different directions.
Yeah.
And you've got these blocks of stone that are literally trying to knock you off.
Yeah.
And I literally got knocked off, and I was like, oh, you know, I can't be bothered with this. I turned it off, and it was only when you put the pictures up of all this weird stuff, I was like, okay, I need to go back to it. So I've not been back to it, but I am going to go and finish it. But yeah, it's hard to recommend this at that price. Unless you really like weird stuff and you like, you know, surreal kind of stuff that are going to maybe make you feel a bit weird at certain points. It's hard for me to say, yeah, jump out and get this for that price for what you get.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it. I mean,
that's it.
This could have been a free thing. I could have seen this being a free thing like back in 2016, 2017 maybe.
I do actually have an extra key for this.
You have it right now?
No.
Okay.
I was going to give it to some my patrons,
okay.
But no one seems to want it, so I feel bad for the developer.
It's a very weird name. The present what's the word? This is supposed to be like basically like the universe's utility room.
Right, it's the back door. It says the thing says something about the back door to the universe or something.
Yeah, it's like it's like some room that's running everything, but when you go through it, none of that makes sense. Like, I'm really interested in the universe and what's really going on, and so I was curious. So that's why I kept going. I wanted to be like, all right, are you guys going to give me the answer?
It's going to give you the answers to all your questions. Oh my god!
Exactly. And I didn't.
If someone wants this and they're in the and they're in the VR Gaming Podcast Discord, just drop a message to me,
Yeah.
and I'll send them a key. I'll send them a key I've got.
All right.
What's next?
So what am I up?
I
think so.
Yeah, you talk. Go
Buccaneers. I played a demo of this a while back at some Next Fest, and it was like $10 on sale. So it's a pirate game, first-person pirate game. You control a pirate ship, and then you fire at other ships, and you go on land, and you go into little towns, and you talk to people, and you recruit more pirates to join your ship. You talk to the governor, and he'll give you new quests or new ships that you need to go fight. It's very the graphics look like the Morrigan. Did you play the Morrigan?
Yeah.
So it's very simplistic polygonal graphics.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. But I did have some issues with the controls, and I had some issues like recentering myself. But I was able to play it fine. I only got to do like cannon battles. I didn't get to do any melee type. Apparently there's melee and there's battles with like rifles and shit, but I haven't gotten to do that yet. For $10, if you want a pirate game, I would say it's probably worth it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it on Steam. It's got very positive reviews. So people seem
it's
to like
a flat
it.
game too, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's why.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it seems it's surprised we don't really have much like
There's
that at the moment.
Furious Seas, which was pretty cool.
Did you have to get off the boat with that though?
You don't get off the boat with that one. And there's that other pirate game that I own that I never played, the Servios one.
Yeah, that one's very basic. It's like an arcadey type thing. But
Yeah.
what's it called? Battle Wake or something?
Yeah,
Battle Wake.
Battle Wake, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty much all I can say about it.
Okay. Do you want to talk about The Forest? We talked about it last week, but we finished it now.
Yeah, we finished it, and I mean, I kind of hate it after that.
It has left. It's weird because I was actually I felt like it was okay last month when we talked about it.
Yeah.
But all three of us, because it was me, you, and Josh playing it, we were all just desperately trying to finish it at that point. It was just like, when is this going to end? Just please end.
You guys even more because you guys put way more time into it.
Yeah, I put 20 hours into this thing.
God.
It was, yeah,
and
it
what
just
a
became
payoff
really
at
dull.
the end.
Yeah, yeah, it was really dull. The game it's just the same thing over and over again, like the same environments, the same enemies. Nothing really changes. There's a section towards the end which I won't spoil because it reveals a lot of story stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have this big boss fight at the end, which is like the most ridiculously hard. I don't understand how anybody could do that boss fight without dying. I mean,
because
it's to
they
the point,
would have gotten the weapons that we didn't get, right?
Yeah, but even then, like even the game itself, when you die, it literally just spawns you right outside the room, so you
Or
can just walk
underneath
straight
the
back.
floor.
It broke for you, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you basically you die normally when you die in this game, you start back at the plane and you've got to come all the way back up to get your backpack and everything. This game was like, yeah, this is going to be hard, so we're just gonna respawn you with all your stuff outside the room, so you can just come straight back in and carry on fighting it. And we just kept dying, respawning. It was just, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And then the ending is completely broken in VR. Only one of you can do it. So they've got two different endings. I'll not spoil what they are, but you can choose between two things. To actually see any of the endings in VR, you all, because I think you looked this up, Justin.
I had to Google it and look on a Reddit post of someone saying.
Yeah. So you have to, what is it? You have to press. We all have to press the thing at the same time.
And then somebody had to back up.
We have to step backwards. Really weird. We all have to step backwards, and then it worked for Josh. Josh got to see the ending. And
we just stood around jerking ourselves off.
Yeah, I mean, for 4 minutes he was explaining what was happening, and we were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds really good." Thanks. and then we tried to do it afterwards, and it wouldn't work, and we had to watch it on YouTube. So
I still haven't watched it.
Have you not?
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I just watched it on YouTube.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, not really. There's two options as well. I looked at what the other option was, and I'm glad that was the best option we chose. But
okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't really. I don't like it that much after finishing it. And I think that the sequel looks like it's exactly the same, just with better graphics. So even if it gets VR support or someone mods VR support into it, I just have no interest at all to go
Yeah,
back
me
in.
neither.
I don't want to play it. The building's pointless,
Yeah.
completely pointless. It's just some people put 100+ hours into this game. I don't know how. I don't know what they're doing because there's nothing there. There's no challenge. The enemies are really easy to kill. You don't need to store anything or mine or craft really that much. You can get through the entire game with pretty much most of what you start with, apart from a few things you have to find in caves and yeah.
If you like exploring caves, maybe you like the game.
Like I said, I enjoyed some of it. It's just like if it took half the time to finish, it would have been okay. But because we cheated as well, don't forget we went. There's a section with a big sinkhole, and you're supposed to find like the entrance to this sinkhole
Are you sure?
somewhere. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. And we kind of like cheated and
We just dropped down.
we dropped down, like down the side and kind of worked our way down that way. Because we did that originally and got stuck.
Yeah.
We couldn't get out because we didn't have all the gear.
Rebreather?
Yeah, we didn't have the rebreather. But you are supposed to actually go through some sort of cave network. But I don't know where the cave network was, and I couldn't be bothered to find it.
It's so confusing with that map.
And all the caves end up looking the same in the end.
Yeah.
So you walk in and you're like, have I been here? Have I not been here? And you just, yeah.
You guys were able to figure out, like, oh, we've been here. And
We'd been in the cave so long, though. I mean, we put twice as much time in as you.
Okay.
So we'd been in the cave network so many times. We were starting to get, recognize things.
Okay.
But there were times when I was like, have I been here before? Is this new? And then we found, like, the rebreather, and I was like, oh, I know where we need to go. And then we went there, and it just literally took us out into this lake, back outside again. It's like, well, what was the point in that? That was, like, completely pointless.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think it's okay, but
Play Valheim instead. That's what I say.
yeah, if you like that sort of game, Valheim's, like, infinitely better. And I don't like that sort of game.
Yeah. All right, I mean, I put this in here, but obviously I always play Compound. I played it last night. I can't stop. Like, when I was playing the Light Brigade, I was thinking, I want to play Compound instead of this. So
You're like that kid where, you it's his birthday and you get him, like, all the new toys and stuff. And then he's like, now, I want to play this old toy I've had for all them years. And you're like, oh, my God, I'm just giving you all this new thing. And all you want to do is play with your shitty old toy.
when I was a kid, I wanted all the new games. I didn't want to play the old games. But now that I'm 43 years old, I want the old games for some reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So there's not much to say that I haven't already said.
No.
I have the game at 92% right now. I'm struggling trying to. You have to beat the game on hard with these different mutators, and I have a few mutators left where I need to beat the game on hard, and I'm struggling. Like, I'll get to the last level and I'll die. So it's a mutator. There's one where you have a bow and only a bow, no other weapons. And there's a mutator where there's way more enemies. And there's a mutator where it's called Chaos Compound, where just all the enemies and the floors are random. And you just random weapons. Like, you could fight any boss on any level. You could have, it could be any setup. So that it's so crazy because you're not prepared. And I don't know where all these enemies could just flood you from nowhere, and I can't get past that. Anyway, a little bit of bragging. There's a leaderboard for this on Steam. On Quest there isn't, but like on easy I'm 37th place. On medium I'm 19th. On hard I'm 17th, and on spicy I'm 23rd in the world. In the world. There's tens of thousands of people on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So
I'm
a little proud of that.
Yeah. That's what you spent your time doing.
Yeah, that's what I spend my time doing. So that's all. I don't know. That's all I can say. Oh,
Fair enough.
Hey, I'd like some competition because none of my friends on Steam are any, like, the closest person on Steam. You can see just your friend leaderboard. The closest is ranked like 5,000 something. I'd like some competition. So you can find me on Steam, MameFan, MAME-fan, and beat my scores. Beat my.
You won't be able
yeah.
to. Don't bother.
Okay,
Never do
fine.
it.
Yeah, that's true.
You're never
All
going
right.
to do it, so.
Hmm?
They're never going to do it.
Yeah, I know. All right, well, we'll go to the next game.
I played some Walking Dead Onslaught for 20 minutes.
I've never played it.
Yeah, don't bother. Because we haven't really had a lot of releases lately, so I was like hunting for some. I've been craving, like single player VR specific games rather than just mods all the time. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it another go. This is my 4th attempt playing this game, and
4th?
I keep trying because I want to like the game, but I just don't like it. It's the main problem. Like the combat and everything's fine, I guess. It's not like the best. The main problem I have is the structure of the game, where you go into the game, you've got these story missions, but you can't do a story mission until you've done scavenging runs, and to do you have to get survivors, and get survivors you do the scavenging runs. So then you have to get a certain amount of supplies, and once you get enough supplies, and that all unlocks another survivor, and then once you've got that, you can do the next story mission. So basically, the game has just got this really grindy loop of you doing these scavenging runs along these really just basic linear little levels where you go off into these side buildings to get as many supplies as you can, and once you've done that enough times, you can then unlock the next story mission. And all I want to do is a story. I don't care about all this grindy scavenging runs, which are boring. I even looked for a save file online to see if someone would put like a 100% save file, so then I could just go in and just play through the story missions one after the other.
Nobody's played it, so how would there be a save
Exactly.
file?
I can't find one. No one's done it. So yeah, I've put it to rest. It's done. I can't do any more of it.
Gamertag might have. He played it, but he might have hated it and not played it much too.
I don't know if he finished it. I know that he put a bad review up, but
yeah,
someone probably have one. If you're listening and you've played through Walking Dead Onslaught and you've got a 100% save file, get in touch with me, because I do want to play through the story, but I just don't want to grind through that stupid scavenge shit.
All right.
That's all.
What's the next one here? I played VRNOID. I got a free key from the developer. This was on Next Fest. I played this before. It's like Arkanoid. And I was wondering, like, why didn't you just call it VRkanoid? Well, then, there already is a game called VRkanoid. But most games in VR usually they do it like a 3D tunnel type thing, and you use your hands as the paddles. But this game, it's more like air hockey. So you're looking down at a table, and then you're hitting the ball with the paddle, whatever you're holding, and you're knocking out the blocks that are up.
Oh. Sorry.
You're knocking out the blocks that are far, and then power-ups come down, just like Arkanoid. But then there's also an air hockey mode where right now you can only play against the AI. I told them, if you can, try to add a 2-player version so people could play. My biggest issue I noticed immediately was when you're holding the paddle, it goes through the table. It doesn't get stopped physically, like by the table. I think he needs to fix that.
Yeah, I
agree. This is a pretty simple game. So I imagine he's not going to charge much. I don't know. It comes out soon. It's not out yet. I think it comes out like
demo.
March. Yeah, there's a free demo, so you can try it. It comes out, I think, March 4th or 5th. So there you go.
Yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, it definitely looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's got that same very like retro look. This kind of like Tron-like look to it.
Yeah, Tron-like, yeah.
But with another game that's coming out, which in fact that's just come out, I should have put on the list. What was it called? Arcade.
It used to be called Arcade, and then did they change it to Arc and Aid?
Yeah, it used to be called Arcade. Now they've called it Arcanade.
I wonder why.
Maybe for Google search or something, because if you search Arcade, you probably get loads of results.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something that we'll probably play and talk about next month.
Okay.
Which reminded me of that. Sorry, that diverting.
No problem.
Have you finished talking about that?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. I briefly I played a couple of hours of Vertigo Remastered, because obviously the sequel's coming out this month. So I just wanted to play a bit of that just to refresh my memory. There's actually some DLC for it, which I bought a while ago because I got the game for like £1 because I bought the original game and then the remastered came out and I got it for free. So I felt like I just needed to buy the DLC just to support the developer. But the DLC, it's got like this thing where you can create your own levels, which I wasn't really that interested in. But it's got a load of mutators, kind of probably similar to what Compound's got, where you can change up the gameplay. And one of them adds like loads of more enemies, so you've got more enemies to kill. One of them makes the enemies easier to kill, but it also makes you easier to kill. So like you've got less health, but you can kill them a lot quicker. And then there was one more which I used, which was making because it uses projectiles for the guns, and it makes them basically instant like hit scan. So you fire and whatever you shoot at, it just instantly hits them. Because I hate those projectile weapons where you fire, and then it takes a few seconds to get across to the enemy. Because by the time it gets to them, the enemy's moved, and then it's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
So I think you had an issue with Lawn and with Red Matter 2
Yeah.
with that, right?
Yeah, I do not like those projectile weapons. If they're gonna have projectile weapons, make them fast. Like make them like a laser that zips across quick. If it takes a bit of time to get across, and especially if you're trying to pick them off from a distance, it really starts to annoy me.
Maybe that's why you don't like Compound, because the weakest pistol that you start out with is a projectile that's slow.
Maybe
you got that and you're just like, fuck this game, and you didn't get.
it's not that I don't like it. It's just.
But the good guns, then there are good guns that are really fast, and maybe you just didn't get to that part.
Yeah, I'm not a big roguelite fan either, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a retro gamer. So it's like two things there that I don't really like. But yeah, Vertigo Remastered's really good. I forgot how cool it is. It looks cool. I like the visuals. They're not like high-end visually, but it's got real style and charm to it. And it just has these really cool set-piece moments, and there's a lot of variety with like some boss fights and things. If you haven't played it, you definitely should play it this month before Vertigo 2 comes out, because Vertigo 2 comes out March 30th, and that is, I think, going to be one of the best games this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, Vertigo Remastered. Yeah, that's an awesome game.
And if you played it and you want to play it again, get the DLC and do the mutators, because it does spice things up, makes things different.
All right, maybe, because I've forgotten the game so much.
Yeah, I was the same, actually. I was surprised how much that's not that much, but like there was something, I don't want to spoil, but there's like a boss that you think is going to be a boss, but it ends up not being a boss fight, and it's like, oh, okay.
Even you saying that much, I don't remember what it
is. Yeah. That's what I mean. I've somehow forgot a lot of it, so I think it's worth replaying, because it's only like 3 to 4 hours. It's not a massively long game, so if you want to get a bit more value for money, then get the Mutator DLC and replay the game again.
All right, I just noticed that I skipped some of my games, so I'll get back on track here. I've been playing.
Go on.
I've been playing Propagation Paradise Hotel, but there's an NDA, so I can't really talk about it. So that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I think that's coming out maybe in Q2 of this year. So Prey Typhon Hunter, did you hear about this back when this got VR support? Do you remember this? This is old news.
Prey Typhon Hunter.
So the game Prey that came out by Bethesda, not the original like 2006 Prey.
Oh, it's an old thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's an old thing where they have this little DLC called Prey Typhon Hunter that they gave VR support. So Prey was on sale for the whole thing, like the deluxe pack was on sale for like $5.99. So I was like, oh, I'll get that because I wanted to try that Prey Typhon Hunter thing.
Oh, it's like a DLC. Oh yeah, I remember now.
So
like
I went into that and I was immediately like very impressed by the graphics. This is AAA, like the best graphics maybe I've ever seen in VR.
Sold.
But the game is just all it is hide and seek. And I only played with the AI. So like the AI has these little black blobs that walk around and then they pretend they're a cardboard box or pretend they're a chair or whatever. And you just go, all you can do is teleport, no free loco.
Oh.
It might be, sometimes games are teleport only because if you did free loco, the performance would be too bad. And I wouldn't be surprised because these graphics are so good.
Hmm.
Yeah, it might be better than Half-Life Alyx graphics. It's because it's like AAA level Bethesda Prey, whatever the hell that came out. It looks like that quality to me.
I thought
So
there was some. I thought there was a DLC that was like an escape room as well.
I did think that. Maybe I have it and didn't realize it. Maybe it's called Moon something.
Moon Crash.
Moon
What's that?
Crash.
I think that was like a roguelite thing that they bought out for it. But there was another DLC for Prey, which was VR only, and it was like an escape room thing.
Okay, I
remember
need
it.
to go back in and try that. Maybe I'll talk about that on the next one.
Because the Typhon Hunter is like you say. It's like what's that popular thing?
It's hide
Prop
and
hunt.
seek is all.
Yeah.
And you kill the your enemy. You know, you find them and you're trying to figure out which one is, because they hide, and you have to figure out which one is the imposter or whatever.
Right.
And you hit them with a wrench or you shoot them with a gun or whatever. But if somebody else had it, I think you could play multiplayer with other people. But no, who has this? Who has this fucking game? Yeah.
Who's got it? No one has got it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at this Moon Crash thing. Yeah, what is this? Yeah, so Moon Crash. Yeah, Moon Crash is that roguelite mode that they added. I can't see the DLC for this VR thing. Maybe they removed it, but there was definitely, I remember it distinctly, DLC where you're like in an escape room game.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that too.
Maybe it was a PSVR exclusive or something. I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
I'm looking at the store page for Prey Typhon Hunter. Reviews mostly negative.
Yeah, I noticed that.
33%. Wow. I wonder why.
People don't like that game.
I mean, they're pissed because it's dead.
Oh, right.
Like there's nobody there to play with.
Prey. TranStar.
That's what it's called? The escape room thing?
Yeah.
TranStar?
And I think it's part of the Typhon Hunter DLC, apparently. So you might have it.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
I'll try it.
yeah. Look that up because I'd be interested in that because it looks visually it looks really impressive. Anyway, we probably shouldn't be doing this live while we're recording.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Do you want to talk about the next one as well? That 3D.
Oh, okay, yeah. 3D Send VR. That's the difference. Okay, this is an emulator. You can get it on Steam and itch.io. So whereas like EMU VR and Neo Retro Arcade Neon, those ones are emulators where the game is two-dimensional. It's just on a flat screen in a 3D environment. Whereas 3D Send VR makes the actual game itself completely three-dimensional. So like you can play not any NES game, only the ones that are supported. So if you go to their Steam page and go into discussions, you can see a list of games that are supported. But you can walk around the game, and the game, you can rotate it with a thumbstick, but I prefer to just walk around it, and it's a 3D game made out of like actual blocks. So the developer had to go through each game and manually make them all 3D that way. So you can play it on a monitor. There's a version just called 3D Send, or you can play it in VR. It's so cool. I don't even like NES, but I still want to play these games in VR because it's just so cool looking. Because I didn't grow up with an NES, so I don't have any like nostalgia for it really. But some people requested Duck Hunt, and they requested Pac-Man. So I played both. I put up videos of that on my channel. And they keep requesting more games, so I'm just going to keep playing them because it's just so cool to look at in VR. And like in Duck Hunt, you can walk behind the game and shoot at the ducks and shoot at the skeet or clay pigeons or whatever you call it from behind. And it still works. I was surprised by that. You could play Contra or Mario and play it from behind. So where, you'd be you'd press, if you left the controls the default way, you'd be pressing right to go left. But you could remap it if you wanted to like challenge yourself to play from behind. You could remap the controls so that, you could actually play it where you press left to go left. I recommend it a lot. At full price, it's $20. Maybe it goes on sale sometimes. I don't know. But that's about it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that your sort of thing. The
Definitely my sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've never really been interested in, but if you're into retro games, it must be really cool to experience it in that like new way.
Yeah, I think it would be too hard to do, but I hope like Genesis, Super Nintendo, 16-bit systems would get this eventually, but probably be too much work if you had to do it manually. If you could get some sort of AI to do it, that would work.
Yeah, because I know there's loads of different little emulators for VR. Like there's a Wii one, which I don't know if you ever tried that.
Dolphin,
yeah.
Yeah, I've never tried it because I have a Wii, and I just I don't care much about it.
Yeah.
It's Wii and GameCube is what Dolphin will do.
Oh, GameCube as well, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, something you should look into.
Yeah, because that's actual 3D. It's not just like a 2D screen. But
yeah.
It kind of sounds like a lot of setup hassle. And
that's what's put me off it.
Yeah. It also hasn't been updated in a long, long time.
Yeah. I think the developers kind of not doing anything with it. But
yeah. I think on the Recentered podcast, they talked about Dolphin.
Yeah, they like
that one that
stuff.
I did.
They're really into the retro stuff, aren't
they?
Anything else you want to say on that?
No, nothing else on that.
Nope. Okay. I've been revisiting a lot of old games this last month, actually. And one game that I started playing a while ago, Star Wars Squadrons. This came out, was it a couple of years ago now? And I only had a 1080 on my PC, and it just wouldn't run it well.
Yeah, that's unplayable, probably.
Yeah, but now I've got the RTX 3080. It runs it really nice, so I've decided to carry on playing that, and I started from the beginning, and I've been enjoying it a lot, actually, a lot more than I expected. It's I've got a HOTAS as well, which helps with the immersion, having the stick and the throttle and everything. But it's just a really well-made AAA flight kind of space shooter. Obviously, Star Wars, you're in TIE fighters and X-Wings, and the cockpits are absolutely amazing. Like the visuals, the material effects. They've even got like in the X-Wings, they've got those little screens, for your radar and stuff, and you can see all the scan lines on the screens when you look at them closely. And the attention to detail is absolutely incredible. And they have a good amount of variety as well to the missions. So you've got somewhere you're bombers doing bomber runs, sometimes you're in fighters doing escort missions. You're sometimes playing on for the Empire, sometimes you're playing for the Rebellion, and you in between missions as well. You have like mission debriefs and stuff. And you can go up and talk to people, and the visuals are just some of the best. Like you said with Prey, it's just when you play a true AAA flat game, but in VR, it really takes you back of how good these games do actually look in 3D. And this is the same. Like they've got all these different like Star Wars people and creatures and things that are talking to you, and the lighting and the skin, how realistic everything looks. It's just really impressive. So if you've got any interest in this sort of game and you want to play something a bit more arcadey, kind of like Elite Dangerous, but without all the grinds, kind of just more dogfighting and flying around, then I highly recommend this game.
Did you say you're using a HOTAS or a gamepad?
I bought a cheap one, like a Thrustmaster thing.
And that works well, huh?
Yeah, it works fine.
All right.
Yeah, I get some stick drift sometimes, but I find if I just wiggle it about a bit,
if you were using a gamepad, would you lose interest?
No, apparently it's been built around the gamepad, like the controls, so you probably enjoy it just as much.
I wonder how it would be in something like a HL2.
Oh, yeah. Although you can't do full, like, 360, can you? So I wonder how it works. Like, if you were to do a full loop,
if you get the most expensive one, I think you can do a full 360.
Really? I mean, like, upside down and everything.
Oh, not upside down. I meant a horizontal 360.
Yeah, that's what I meant, like, if you're doing, like, a loop of stuff, like, how would it work? But
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they do.
I guess it just pulls you back and like you feel gravity as you kind of your body's pushed back or something. But
Well, I watched on Rendered Reality. They did a video of them playing Hot Wheels, and they were doing loops on Hot Wheels, and so he said, I think I asked him. He said it felt like you're actually doing the loop because the way the yaw will move all the way down or all the way up, and it's enough to kind of simulate the feeling. Maybe it does it fast enough. I'm not sure. I don't know.
yeah, it'd be cool to try one, but I'm never gonna buy one. I'll be honest. I ain't got the space for one anyway. So.
Yeah, they're really expensive now.
Mm.
And even people that have pre-ordered it still haven't gotten their yaw 2 yet.
If people don't know what a Yaw 2 is, what is it, like like some sort of big
motion
chair?
platform chair that you sit in, and you can put
rotates
mount a
and
wheel and pedals and
yeah.
HOTAS and all that.
Yep, you're up next. What game?
Right.
You played a bunch of Next Fest.
Yeah, I'll try to go through these fast. I played a bunch of Next Fest demos. Maybe I didn't have enough to do at the time. I usually regret this after I do this sort of thing.
you just every time. I don't know how you do it because most of them look like crap. So.
And I don't learn my lesson.
No.
Well, Formula Retro Racing I really wanted to try because it looked like Virtua Racing.
Right.
And at first it was a pain in my ass because it wouldn't go into VR. It was staying on the screen, and it's one of these games where if it was something with having to do with the Steam VR window, like if it was on top, then the game wouldn't work in VR. So one of these games where the window has to be the top window.
Yeah.
And Steam VR wanted to be on top for some reason, so I had to figure that out. So there were some issues getting it going, and then it had like an arcade. Once you first get into VR, you're in an actual arcade with you're in an arcade, sitting in a racing arcade cabinet. You can look around and there's pinball machines and other arcade games. And then once you get into the game, I was just using my analog sticks. I think I was using just a gamepad. I don't think you can use your motion controllers. And I liked the Indy cars. That felt pretty good, but when I tried there were these drifting cars, the drifting felt too crazy. I didn't like that. But the Indy cars I liked. There are just some things they need to get. Like the HUD is too much in your face. So get that out of the way in VR. I left a comment about that. But I think that's worth trying if you liked Virtua Racing. So that would be a no for you.
Is it right? Retro, is it? Yeah. Well, it's called
it's
retro in the name.
Yeah. So then I tried VR Reckon. I guess they're trying to sound like Tekken. Vrecken.
Right.
That is trash. It's trash, but it's funny because of how bad it is. Like I was in a subway and dudes are just walking up to me, and I could just grab them by the face and throw them onto the subway track, and then they immediately die. That was funny, at least. Like this could be a funny video.
Yeah.
And I put the difficulty all the way up, and then it just gave me more enemies that I could just grab and immediately throw onto the subway platform, onto the tracks. But sadly, no train came through and ran them over. What were you gonna say?
The demo's still up for that as well, actually.
Yeah, so you could try that if you want.
Yeah, it looks actually visually don't look too bad.
Yeah, the graphics aren't bad. It's just the gameplay.
You ever play
sucks.
that Path of the Warrior?
Yeah, I played that a little bit, and I just got tired of punching.
Yeah, that was like a Streets of Rage type of game in VR. It was kind of cool, but very repetitive.
Yeah, it's repetitive. So then I played golf. Oh, no, I actually didn't play Golf on the Moon. It said it's VR. Nobody in the discussion could get it running in VR, so don't bother with that. I played something called Increment. I don't get it. It's a game where you press buttons and turn dials and shit, and that's all I really saw. Press this button, now this, and then this, and then I don't get the appeal of that. But I actually got stuck. I got to a point where I didn't know what it wanted me to do next, so I just gave up on it. Ornament Express was an escape room. It was just a little puzzle escape room type thing. It was okay, but it felt like early VR stuff. Gazzlers was kind of like a rail shooter. You're on the back of a train or a truck or something, and enemies are coming at you from behind, and you're shooting at them, and you get, while you're playing, you get upgrades, like upgraded to different guns, and you have to reload and stuff, and you get, it was definitely interesting. Like, there's potential there for that one for sure. It was pretty polished, so that's one to look at. Taolu, that Taolu, that was, it appeared to just be, do you know, like from martial arts movies where they had those wooden things with the wooden arms, and the dudes would hit the arms on them?
Oh yeah.
That's all. That's all I was doing. But it was like kind of like a rhythm game. Like, hit this one, then hit this one, then hit then this, and then hit here. That did nothing for me. No More Rainbows. That was surprisingly polished. It's a first person platformer where you play as the bad guy. You're some sort of monster, and you're going through these little colorful, cutesy towns, killing all the good guys. So I liked that, except there's no stick locomotion. You have to. It's like a gorilla tag type of game where you have to like move your arms to move around everywhere. So that could get annoying. Maybe kids would be more into that. But it was polished and pretty impressive. The events at Unity Farm, I think you tried it. I didn't like it. I didn't really. I was walking around trying to figure out what they wanted me to do, and I just was like, all right, I've had enough of this. It
I
was
played
trying
about
to
half
be
an hour of that.
half an hour. It was trying to be spooky, and it seemed more like a little kid game.
Yeah, it definitely felt more like a kid's game. Like, you are like a kid in the game, and you meet this little ghost kid, and you have like magic you can do to fire enemies.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel very good because you basically just point and pull the trigger like a gun, so it didn't feel like you're casting a spell or anything.
Yeah.
To select the spells, you basically just have a book, and then you put your hand on the book you want, and then you basically have like infinite. You can just fire as fast as you want these fireballs, and yeah.
And I only did that in the little training part. I didn't actually do any of that beyond there. Did you?
What did you get? Did you meet the ghost kid?
Yeah, I met the ghost kid, but then I just wandered around, kind of not knowing where do they want me to go, and then I just turned it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I started playing it, and I thought it's not bad, but I'll probably just wait till the full thing just to see what it turns into. I mean, out of all the ones that you've mentioned and that other ones that I saw, this one looked the most interesting to me. Like, visually, it was actually pretty decent. It looked like good amount of polish and production values. The gameplay, like, they definitely need to do something with the spell, like the combat, because it didn't feel great.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else seemed okay. Wasn't bad.
Okay. So you have one game left, I think.
Yeah, I played CarX Drift Racing Online, which is like a shitty mobile name, but it's not. If you like drifting, this is probably the best drifting game I've played in VR. It's the most realistic drifting, because I have done a little bit of drifting in real life, just like one of those drift day things and a couple of those. It's really hard. I mean, drifting in real life is really hard, so just be aware that you're gonna you're gonna spin out, and you're gonna have to struggle to get used to it. Like, the whole thing is you've got these different tracks, and then you have to just keep playing and drifting and getting better, and you get points as you drift, and as you unlock levels, you can get money, you can unlock new tracks, you can buy new cars. It's all about the drifting. If you don't like drifting and you've got no interest in drifting, don't bother with it. But if you've always fancied learning how to drift, I'd say this game would probably get you to a point where if you played enough of this and you went and drifted a real car in real life, you would actually be be okay. It'd get you the basics down enough to be able to start drifting in real life. I think personally, from what I've played, I think it's that good of a kind of simulator.
I've never drifted, and I don't know.
It's really hard. I mean, it's really hard. Yeah, you have to have a lot of patience, because you have to just keep practicing over and over again to get good at it. But
What do you destroy your tires?
Drifting is just, obviously getting the car to slide, but you've got to get to that point where it spins out, but you're just holding on. You counter steering by steering into the slides. So as the car's going sideways, you're kind of pointing the wheels to the right. So if you're sliding the car and the car slides out, so the back end comes out, you've got to steer into it, and you've got to try and constantly use the steering and the throttle. And
You've done it in real life?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Huh.
Nothing crazy, but I spent a couple of full days on in a rally car, and I did a Caterham, like a little kit car thing. Yeah, it's fun. In real life, it's so hard. I mean, it's so hard. I spent
you have to use the parking brake or some shit?
No, if it's rear wheel drive, you can do it. Just use the throttle, just stamp the throttle down enough. You can use the clutch to like kick the clutch a little bit to break traction at the back, and car will kind of step out, and you just have to counter steer, and it's like you're balancing the car right on that edge of being out of control, and it's when you get it right, it feels really good, but it's very, very difficult.
I don't know anything about cars, and I've never even driven a stick.
Yeah, I mean you've got to be interested in drifting and cars to have any sort of interest in this game. It's like you in retro games. I've not got that much interest in retro games. So for me, a lot of this stuff don't really interest me. Whereas this is probably not going to interest you. But I thought I'd mention it because it's really cheap. Even full price, it's a cheap game. You can do it online as well, so that you can do drift. You can like go into a course and drift around with your mates and stuff. It's fun if you like that sort of thing.
And wait, does it have a VR built in? Or is this
It's got VR support.
Okay.
No, it's got VR support. Yeah.
Okay.
It was added last year, but VR support's good as well. Works well.
All right. The one thing I was going to mention, I took my daughter to this thing called Dinos Alive, where they have giant animatronic dinosaurs. Like the T-Rex was as tall as the warehouse would allow. So that was cool. But they had VR there, and I didn't try it. But it was advertised like this: immerse yourself to the fullest with a captivating VR experience suitable for ages 8+. But I took her there twice because she liked dinosaurs so much. But every time I looked at the VR area, it was Quest 2s with, I think, the Elite battery strap. But I just kept seeing like 3-year-olds with these headsets on them. Like,
really?
All the kids were younger than 8 that I saw. And I'm like, these kids' IPDs are way lower.
They're not going to be seeing what they need to be seeing.
Yeah, what are they possibly seeing? Why are people letting these kids go in these things? Like, I'm a huge VR enthusiast. I've never once put my 3.5-year-old daughter into VR because it's not going to work. And she's not going to be able to tell me, Daddy, this doesn't look right. I think you need to fix my IPD. I think it's like, what could her IPD might be in the 40s? I don't know.
You shouldn't measure it. You should get a tape measure out.
Yeah, I'm curious.
IPD.
Yeah. I'm not going to put a headset on her until she's a lot older.
They're just going to be seeing like the edges of the screen, which are all blurry, and not. It's going to give them a headache or something. Yeah, it's not going to be a fun experience.
Yes, I don't like seeing stuff like that because these kids probably, I don't know, maybe they're so young they don't even realize that it's what they're looking at sucks. Maybe they're just like, wow.
Probably.
I don't know. That was all.
Okay. Interesting. I think that's all the games.
Yeah. So upcoming, as we said, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 VR mod that comes out March 17th.
Yep.
There's a game neither of us have played called Ghosts of Tabor that comes out March 20th. I don't know. There's some sort of beta going on or something, right?
Yeah, it's like a military. It's like, from what I can tell, it's like Tarkov, which is a non-VR multiplayer kind of military, really serious shooter where you go through these levels and you have to get loot. You gear up, and then if you die, you lose all the gear that you've got. So you kind of got that risk reward, and the object of the game is to go in, try and get more gear and then get out of the exit alive. It looks like it's very similar to that. So very intense, slow pace. It's not like a fast paced shooter. This is definitely something that I think a lot of people will like, but we'll see. I'm going to try and get my hands on it and talk about it next. Well, it's March 20th is the Is it an open beta or something? Or is it the actual release of the game?
No, March 20th is the release date. On Steam.
Yeah. All right, so we'll all be able to play it then. That's fine.
Yeah, so The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 hopefully finally comes out March 21st on PC because it's already out on Quest 2.
Yeah, and PSVR 2 as well.
Oh, yeah. It comes out March 21st on PS. It's not out on PSVR 2 yet.
No, it's coming at the same date.
Yeah. So hopefully it's better than the Quest 2 version.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the better games for sure.
Then Vertigo 2 comes out March 30th.
Which I'm more excited for.
Yeah. And then recently they announced another Fisherman's Tale, but they just said soon.
Yeah. This looks... Have you seen the trailer for this?
Yeah, I watched the trailer. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, apparently it's a longer game as well.
I think you play as his daughter?
Yeah, because the first game was like all in these very small environments where you kind of... it was... How would you explain it? You kind of like... You had a lighthouse and you could put your hand into the lighthouse and then you could see your own hand above you, like giant hand and stuff, and you could pass things to yourself and make them smaller and bigger.
It's like you're the puppeteer of a giant puppet.
Yeah, it was really cool. Really, like you had like 3 layers, one smaller, one your size, and then one bigger, and you could make things smaller and bigger depending on how you passed them through these different dimensions or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It
was only a couple of hours long, but it was really good, and I really enjoyed it.
I remember I beat the last part of it, but I wasn't sure how. It confused me.
I don't want to spoil it, but the ending was actually quite cool as well, with the lighthouse when you're at the top with the lights and everything. Yeah, it was a good game, and I think definitely the second one, it's going to be longer apparently. Didn't you say about 6 to 8 hours or something? And
I can't remember what
it looks much more bigger, like open, and you kind of, it's the same sort of thing where you're puppeteering. You can like remove your hand from your body, I think, and like do things with your hand out of your body, and yeah, it looks really trippy, and I think it's going to be really, really good. The same developers made Mask Maker as well, which if anyone's played that was also a really good puzzle game. So I've got high hopes for this one.
Yeah, that's I guess it's every platform.
Yeah, this is going to be all platforms. Yeah.
Then Synapse, we think that's just PSVR 2.
Apparently it's an exclusive. Yeah. It's made by the same people who made Fract, which wasn't exclusive for PSVR 2, but then it came to PC and no one liked it, so I doubt that they're going to ever even if the exclusivity ends, I don't see them ever releasing this for PC.
Is that Endreams?
PC. Yeah.
Okay. And they made Phantom Covert Ops?
Phantom Covert Ops were really good.
Yeah, that was really good.
But Fract was just, for me, it was just too pricey for it's like 2 hours long.
Yeah, I only played the demo.
$25 or something.
I played the demo on PSVR, and I was impressed by the cover system. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reviews on PC were only like mixed, and it's short. So I've been waiting for a sale.
Yeah, not many people bought it. So there's no... It's one thing I did want to mention, actually, because we've got this game, which I doubt very much we're going to ever see on PC. And then we've got the next one, which is also... which is not PSVR exclusive, called Journey to Foundation, which is based on some sort of... Is it a novel or something? I've never really heard of this thing. But it's based on some sort of actual known IP. But when I was looking at the website, that's advertised as just... It's for PSVR 2, MetaQuest, and the Pico 4. No mention of Steam VR. So I think we're starting to see now where people are just... developers are just like... They're not even just going to bother with PC. The sales generally on most games on PC, unfortunately, are very poor. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, they have to put a lot of work in to supporting all the different headsets, all the different combination of headsets and controllers. I've seen people put, I think it was District Steel maybe, where it got a bad review because someone was using Vive ones and it didn't work very well with them. It's like, at a certain point, where can you leave this old hardware behind and not support it anymore? And that's the problem with an open platform like PC, is that there's no cut-off, like with a console. The old PSVR, it's like someone still trying to play with the old Move controllers from PSVR 1.
My tracking sucks.
Yeah, but on PC and having to still support that. there's a certain cut-off with consoles where they can say, Sony have said, we're not supporting the old console anymore, the old PSVR. It's all new. Every new game needs to support these new controllers, and that makes it so much easier for developers. But for PC, they haven't got that because people are still using Vive ones. You've got people with Pimax, you've got people using virtual desktop, and then you've got virtual desktop, which sometimes you see doesn't work with a particular game, and then developers have got to try and fix that. And it's just, as a developer, it must be an absolute nightmare having to like mixed reality headsets and controllers, Quest, Index controllers, Vive ones. And you put all that work in like for Fract, and then you get mixed reviews and virtually no sales. I don't really blame them for not doing it. I don't.
Unless you're the developer of Vertigo. When I went into that game, they're only showing you the controls with images of Vive wands.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Imagine if you're a small indie developer as well, and you've got to somehow, build this game, and you've got to have every single combination of headset and controllers. Probably thousands of pounds worth of gear.
Oh, tons of times in Steam discussions, I see the developer only has one.
Yeah,
headset.
they'll have
It's usually a Quest 2.
Yeah, they've got a Quest 2, and then they'll not support Index controllers, and it's like, well, it's difficult when you're a small developer to be able to put out that sort of money to buy all these different headsets and controls and bindings and PC VR. I love it, and it's obviously great for being so open because we can use things like mods and things like that. But it does, but with VR, and all I keep seeing is this new headset's coming out. It's like, whoa, does that really help? Like, there's another new headset, and there's another new headset. Does that help, or does that make things more complicated? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because when we started VR, we had the Vive, and there was the
CV1.
Rift.
Yeah.
That was it. Now we've got everything. We've got so many. Sorry.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna get back to Synapse so we could talk about the visuals.
Yeah, because you don't like that art style.
Yeah. So if you look at the trailer for Synapse, it's black and white, and I don't know how much of the game is actually in black and white, but like that appeals to you, right?
No, it's not just black and white. It's black and white, but then there's splashes of like really vivid colors. So like the enemies and things, and there's the explosions are all in color. There's like doorways that you go through, which are like these really colorful doorways and stuff. It's that contrast between the black and white world with all the other stuff that's going on, which I think could be quite visually impressive, especially in the PSVR 2 headset with the HDR and everything. I think that could look really impressive. They're also using the eye tracking. So apparently, because you've got a gun in one hand, and then your other hand is like picking things up and telekinesis and like barrels and throwing them at people and picking people up and throwing them. And I think they're using the eye tracking to sort of like, so when you want to pick something up, you just look where you want to pick it up, and it'll know which object to pick up, which could really be actually really good use for the eye tracking, because there's so many times where you've got these games where you want to pick something up and you aim with your controller what you want, and you end up picking something else up. So
I'm looking at the trailer right now.
Yeah,
so that's a no from me.
You don't like it?
It looks like the Light Brigade to me. So the environments are completely muted and dull, and then the enemies have color, and that's kind of how the Light Brigade is. The enemies have this bright color.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you can't even see the fucking enemies until you see their like red eye show up.
Yeah.
Nah, this doesn't appeal to me at all.
It doesn't. It appeals to me. You haven't got a PSVR 2 anyway, so
no.
Neither of us has. But if I get one, I'll definitely want to play that game.
Yeah. The next game is Before Your Eyes. I don't even know what. Oh yeah, that's the one where the eye tracking thing.
Yeah, Before Your Eyes is actually a non-VR game which they bring into VR. The non-VR game uses a webcam, so you have a webcam and it tracks when you blink, and it's a bit of an arty thing where you're going through this story and it's telling a story about someone, and if you want to stay in that scene and watch that scene for as long as you can, you have to keep your eyes open and you can't blink, because as soon as you blink, it then moves to the next scene. And apparently it's really well done, and they're bringing it to PSVR 2, and obviously then you're going to have the eye tracking, so they're going to utilize that for this game, which could be really interesting. And then the last one is Humanity, which we got a showcase, and there's actually a demo now available on PS5 and PSVR 2. And this is made by Tetris Effect guy, can't remember his name, and Res Infinite, which you said you don't like either of those games. But,
Yeah, I don't like either of them, but I know most people do.
I loved Tetris Effect. I thought it was great.
I hated it.
The journey mode was really well done. I thought it was really well paced, and the way that it ebbed and flowed, the music and the progression, it was really well done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is something in a lot of games you turn off the music, which is shocking to me.
Only if the music is like just background music that plays constantly over and over again.
Okay.
Like when we play Walkabout Mini Golf, I turn the music off because it's just background music that's constantly going on.
Wow.
Whereas if I'm playing something that's, it has music that comes in at certain points and it's like building up like an action scene, and then it dies down and there's no music again. Like Half-Life Alyx, great. It's got moments where there's no music, moments where music comes in at specific points. That's fine.
Okay, so Compound, I really like Compound's music, but the song plays the whole level, so you probably are getting annoyed by that.
Yeah,
huh?
I would turn that off.
Wow, that's amazing to me. Wow, like without the music, I wouldn't play games. That's a huge thing for me. Yeah,
it irritates me if I listen to it for maybe a few loops, and then I'm like, okay, that's enough. Like Red Matter 2, you tell me that music didn't get on your nerves after
I don't even
7
hear
hours.
it. Like I don't hear it anymore.
It was constant. It was the same music throughout the entire
But
game.
I don't notice it.
Yeah, it just annoys me. I like to soak up the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I like to listen to the atmospheric sounds of the environment. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that.
I guess I'm looking at the Humanity trailer. Did you say Lemmings? Because it looks like that. Yeah.
It's kind of like Lemmings, where you control this little white dog and you're moving humans around a level.
I definitely would never play this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough color.
Oh, it's not a color issue. It just doesn't.
You're colorist.
Yeah, I am a colorist, definitely. Because there's plenty of colors in these people. Like these people have all these different colored t-shirts.
That one's not like a VR game, really. It's kind of just. I think you're just going to be just viewing it like from a top-down perspective. Probably playing it with a controller.
For some reason, looking at this reminds me of the game Bound on PSVR 1.
I never played that, actually.
It's okay. It's not good. No.
I think it looked artsy.
Like, yeah, it was artsy.
It
was one of these games. I beat it just to say I beat it.
Oh, right.
But I didn't enjoy it.
You beat it a lot, don't you?
I do beat it a lot. Yeah. And I remember it was early VR, so people were like, I think they were into it, excited, because that was back in like 2016 or some shit. So people were impressed by anything back then, I think.
True. I would have been impressed by that back then, probably.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
I don't think so. So maybe you'll get a PSVR 2 sometime soon?
Who knows?
Yeah,
At some point I'll get one. I do want one. Gran Turismo 7 looks amazing, but what can you do? I'm broke.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your opinion. Have you ever even tried a PSVR 1?
No.
So I'm curious to hear what you think of the display and the Mura. And
I'll be honest about it. I mean, obviously, if I get a review unit from Sony, then I'll definitely do a review. If I buy one myself, I'm not sure if I will, because everyone else has already done a review. But
that reminds me of another gripe I had with the Light Brigade. I saw something that looked like Mura the whole time I was playing, and I don't know if you noticed it.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, there's this they use the term fixed pattern noise on my headset while I was in the levels that I could see everywhere. I had to look at certain colors to really see it. But yeah, that's something that I never see. Like in a Valve Index, you don't ever see Mura.
There is a pattern on the Valve Index. It's something I noticed. If you look at a light sky or something that's very the same color, you can kind of just about see it. But it's so subtle that you've really got to be looking for it. And
I see screen door, but I think that's about all I see.
Yeah, I think it's screen door, but a lot of people see Mura's screen door as well. They kind of
they
confuse the
two.
two.
Yeah. All right.
As long as I mean, it's. I think the Miura thing with PSVR 2 and the first one apparently is different between headsets. So what one person might be seeing, another person might not.
Yeah.
I think it exists on every single one. I think it's just the severity of it will probably change.
Yeah.
And I think if you get one that's got really bad, you're probably better off, sending it back and trying to get a replacement rather than just putting up with it.
I just put up with it in my PSVR 1.
You barely use your PSVR 1 though, so there wasn't probably enough for you to really worry about it that much.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it. All right. See you later.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.